Hello, my name is Amber from Nassau English School London, and I'm working in partnership with IC Group Education to bring you a free English class twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays so you can continue to study from home. Today's class, I had a few technical difficulties, so I'm refilming it now for you so you have the full class without any confusion at all. Okay, so today's class is going to be on modal verbs. I'm going to bring up the notes as always so you can see everything that I can see. So we use modal verbs to talk about or to give advice, to talk about obligation and about things which are prohibited. How this class will work, we will look at each modal verb, some examples, and then there is a quiz at the end. Okay, so the first ones we will look at are should and shouldn't, positive, negative, and ought to and ought not to. So we use these when we are giving advice, and this can be strong advice or maybe it's soft advice. The examples I have are, I think you should stay home tonight, and you ought to use less electricity. I think you should stay home tonight, you ought to use less electricity. I also have two negative examples. Teachers ought not to shout at children. Teachers ought not to shout at children. And you shouldn't eat chocolate for breakfast. You shouldn't eat chocolate for breakfast. Okay, two things to be aware of here. With ought not to, it's not a very common expression. We don't normally use it if we are talking with friends or family. Instead, I recommend using shouldn't, but it is a formal expression. So if you are writing in a formal way, maybe to a boss, maybe in a letter, you can use this expression ought not to. Okay, we just don't normally use it when we are talking to friends and family. I personally would always use shouldn't. Okay, but there's nothing to stop you from using it yourself. And the second thing is much more natural to say I don't think you should rather than I think you shouldn't. We put the negative on don't. I don't think you should rather than shouldn't. I think you shouldn't. Okay, so use the first expression, I don't think you should, and you will sound much more natural when you are speaking English. So this is our first modals, should and ought to. We're now going to have a look at must. Must. There are three main reasons why we use must. The first is to give strong advice to ourselves, to make recommendations to others, and for stating the rules. Okay, let's have a look at the first one. So this is to give strong advice to ourselves. I must go to bed early tonight. I must drink more water. Okay, this is advice. Maybe we will do this, maybe we won't. Maybe I will go to bed early, maybe I won't. But the advice I'm telling myself is to go to bed early. I think this is important. I think these actions are important. So this is the first one. The second is to make recommendations to others. When you make a recommendation, it's usually because you believe it's true or important because of your previous experiences. So for example, you must visit London, it's a great city, or you must try this cake, it's delicious. Okay, so on your previous experience or previous knowledge, you can make a recommendation. I visited London, so I can say you must visit because it's a great city. The same, I've eaten the cake, I think the cake is delicious, so I say to you, you must try this cake, it's delicious. And finally, for stating rules, okay, this is true or false, yes or no. This is not optional. So you must be taller than 1 meter to ride the roller coaster, and cyclists must wear helmets. Okay, this is a rule. Maybe there is a law against it, maybe there isn't, but it is the rules. Okay. If, for example, number 1, if you are smaller than 1 meter, then it is not possible to ride the roller coaster. Okay, and the same with the cyclist. Maybe in this area, if you do not have a helmet, then you cannot ride your bike. Okay, this is a rule. We're also going to look then at mustn't, the negative, must not, mustn't. So these are for actions that are prohibited or forbidden. Okay, prohibited or forbidden. The examples I have here are: you mustn't touch the wall, the paint is wet, and you mustn't drink and drive. Again, maybe there is something here that a law or a policy that makes it illegal to do it, or you just cannot do it, it's forbidden. Okay, so the examples were: you mustn't touch the wall, the paint is wet, or you mustn't drink and drive. Okay, we're now going to have a look at the next one, which is have to. Have to. Have to is to talk about an obligation. Okay, so this is something that you do not have a choice about. You have no option when we're using have to. Okay, so I've got two sentences here. We have to sit exams every year. We have to sit exam every year. In the UK, it's normal in, I think, June or July that all children sit exams. Okay, this is not optional. You cannot choose. Everybody will sit the exam. Okay, you have to sit these exams. And I also have the sentence: I have to walk to work tomorrow. Again, this is an obligation. There is no choice. Okay. Sometimes people get a little bit confused with must and have to. So in this example, if you were to say must, I must walk to work tomorrow, it sounds like advice for yourself. You're giving yourself strong advice. You feel or believe this strongly. However, it's not the same. If you say you have to, or I have to walk to work tomorrow, this is an obligation. Maybe your car is broken. Maybe there are no buses. Okay, there are no options apart from walking. Okay, so there's a slight difference in meaning with these two. We also then have the negative: don't have to or doesn't have to. So we use these to talk about things that we do not need to do. So there are options here. The negative, it's an optional action. The example I have is: you don't have to leave now, you can stay as long as you like. You don't have to leave now, you can stay as long as you like. Okay, so it's optional. The action of leaving is optional. You can leave, but you don't have to leave. Okay, this is an optional thing. The next modal then is can or can't. Can or can't. So we use can and can't for two reasons: to talk about your ability and to ask for permission. Okay, the first one we'll look at with ability: I can cook, I can't speak Spanish. Okay, these are to talk about things that you are able to do. So I can cook, or I can't speak Spanish. And secondly, to ask for permission: can I borrow your pen? Or can you say that again, please? I didn't hear you. Can you say that again, please? I didn't hear you. These are all asking for permission, okay? Asking someone to repeat, asking someone to borrow. Okay, so these are all of the modals that we are going to look at. What we will do is now do a quiz together. What I recommend is for each question, you pause this video so you have time to answer it, and then I will go through the answers together. There are 5 questions in total. So for each question, you have a sentence like this and 2 options of modals. You need to choose which one is the correct one. So for this one, you really blank visit the London Eye. When you visit London, it's amazing. You really blank visit the London Eye. When you visit London, it's amazing. You have options must or option could. Okay, let's have a look at number 2. Number 2, I don't think you should or must drive to town. There is hardly any parking. I don't think you blank drive to town. There is hardly any parking. There is not a lot of parking. Number 3, you blank drive when you are tired. It's dangerous. You blank drive when you are tired. It's dangerous. The options here are can't and mustn't. Can't and mustn't. Okay, the next one. So there are 2 blank spaces here. So you have 4 modals to choose from. So you have the sentence, you blank wear your seatbelt during the whole flight. However, you blank wear it for takeoff and landings. Again, you don't have to or shouldn't wear your seatbelt during the whole flight. However, you ought to or must wear it for takeoff and landings. Okay, 2 different blank spaces, 2 correct answers you need for this. And the last one then is this one. If you want to improve your English, you blank study for 1 hour every day. If you want to improve your English, you should or have to study for 1 hour every day. Okay, we're going to look at the answers now. If you need more time, please pause the video here. Okay, so number 1 is must. You really must visit the London Eye. This is giving a recommendation. Okay, you really must visit the London Eye. Number 2, I don't think you should drive to town. There is hardly any parking. I said earlier that we often say put the negative on don't when we're talking about should. I don't think you should. Okay, we would say mustn't. You have the negative must, mustn't. We do not say I don't must, I don't mustn't. It doesn't make any sense. So the correct answer for this is should. Number 3, okay, you mustn't drive when you are tired. It's dangerous. Okay, again, this is strong advice or talking about a rule. Either are correct. Can and can't is to talk about an ability. It is possible to drive when you are tired, but you shouldn't do it. It's not good to do because it's dangerous. So we'd say you mustn't drive when you are tired. Number 4, we had 2. So we have you don't have to wear your seatbelt during the whole flight. Don't have to, again, is that optional action. You can if you want to. You can, you don't have to. Okay, you have an option. However, you must wear it for takeoff and landings. Must, this is a rule, okay, that everybody must follow. It's a rule, you must do it. Okay, this is not optional. It's not advice. Everybody must do this. And finally, number 5 then. If you want to improve your English, you should study for 1 hour every day. It should because this is advice, okay? Have to means it's an obligation. There is no choice. Should is advice. The correct answer is should. Okay, and that is the end of the class. I hope you have followed today's class. Again, any apologies, my apologies for the technical issues in today's video. I will see you guys on Thursday for my next class. Thank you for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye.